Charleston, South Carolina, one of the most historic and charming cities in the United States. From its founding in the 17th century to its role in the American Revolution and the Civil War, Charleston has witnessed some of the most pivotal moments in American history. Known for its well-preserved architecture, rich culture, and Southern hospitality, Charleston has a past filled with triumphs, tragedies, and transformations. In this video, I'll take you on a journey through time, exploring the key events that shaped Charleston, from its founding in 1670 to present day. Let's dive in. Pre-1663, the region was inhabited by many Native American tribes who thrived through fishing, hunting, and trading along the waterways. In 1663, Charles II of England granted the province of Carolina to 8 lord proprietors, which includes modern-day North and South Carolina. In 1670, English colonists led by William Sale settled at Albemarle Point on the west bank of the Ashley River. This was the first permanent European settlement in South Carolina, and they named it Charlestown after King Charles II. In 1680, Charlestown moves to its present-day location at the peninsula between the Ashley and Cooper Rivers due to access to better trade and defense. In the 1690s, Charlestown became the 5th largest city in British North America due to its role in the slave trade along with its rice and indigo production. In 1706, Charlestown successfully defends against a combination French and Spanish fleet during Queen Anne's War. In 1718, the pirate Edward Blackbeard Teach would blockade Charlestown, demanding medicine. In 1720, South Carolina would become a royal colony, separating from North Carolina. The city of Charlestown would grow as a trade and cultural center. In 1736, Dock Street Theater, the first purpose-built theater in the American colonies, would be opened. Between the 1750s and 1760s, Charlestown became one of the wealthiest cities in the colonies. In 1765, the Stamp Act crisis saw major protests across Charlestown. This caused the city to align with the growing revolutionary sentiment. In 1770, the Charlestown Library Society is founded, which is one of the oldest libraries in the United States. June 28, 1776, the Battle of Sullivan's Island would take place. South Carolina forces under Colonel William Moultrie would repel a British naval attack at Fort Sullivan. This would later be renamed Fort Moultrie. May 12, 1780, you would see the Siege of Charlestown. The British would capture Charlestown after a 6-week siege, marking one of the largest American defeats during the American Revolution. December 14, 1782, British troops would leave Charlestown, marking the end of British occupation. In 1783, Charlestown would be officially renamed Charleston. In 1791, President George Washington would visit Charleston, staying at the Hayward Washington House. He praised the city of Charleston for its culture and economic prominence. In 1801, the Charleston Orphan House would open, becoming the first public orphanage in the United States. In 1822, Denmark Vesey, a formerly enslaved man, was accused of planning a slave rebellion and would be executed along with 34 others. In 1830, the South Carolina Canal and Railroad Company would complete its first passenger railway route in the United States. December 20th, 1860, South Carolina would be the first state to secede from the Union, declaring its independence from the United States. April 12, 1861, the first shots of the Civil War will be fired at Fort Sumter. Confederate forces would bombard the federal garrison, forcing its surrender. In 1863, the Union would begin the prolonged siege of Charleston, with heavy shelling of the city and naval blockades. Also in 1863, the 54th Massachusetts Regiment, an African-American unit, would lead a historic but unsuccessful attack on Fort Wagner. In 1864, the Confederate submarine, the H.L. Hunley, based in Charleston, became the first submarine to sink an enemy ship in combat. In 1865, Confederate forces would abandon Charleston as Union troops came into the city and took control. In 1868, South Carolina would be readmitted to the Union under Reconstruction policies. In 1869, Charleston's first public schools would open, including the Avery Norman Institute for African American Students. In 1886, a massive earthquake, estimated to be a 7.0 magnitude, would strike Charleston, causing widespread damage and deaths. In 1901, the Charleston Navy Shipyard would be established, boosting the local economy. Between 1941 and 1945, during World War II, Charleston would serve as a major naval and shipbuilding hub. In 1954, the Supreme Court ruling Brown v. Board of Education would spark desegregation efforts in Charleston schools. In 1969, the Charleston hospital workers' strike would happen, bringing national attention to race and labor tensions. In the 1970s, Charleston began restoring its historic buildings, launching a tourism boom. On September 22, 1989, Hurricane Hugo, which was a Category 4 hurricane, would devastate Charleston. Hurricane Hugo would cause millions of dollars in damage. The city's recovery efforts led to intensive modernization. Starting in the 1990s and going through today, Charleston has emerged as a major cultural and tourism hub. The city attracts millions of visitors every year for its historic architecture, cuisine, and festivals. On June 17, 2015, the Emmanuel AME church shooting would occur. During the shooting, 9 African American church members would be killed in a racially motivated attack. In 2023, the International African American Museum would open in Charleston, showcasing Charleston's complex history. Charleston has played a pivotal role in American history, from its founding as a colonial trade center to its roles in the American Revolution, the Civil War, Reconstruction, and the Civil Rights Movement. Today, Charleston is a thriving hub of history, tourism, and culture.